Hi there, welcome to the Bottled Up podcast. I'm Lou.
Hi, and I'm John. And today we're going to talk about assessing if you have an alcohol problem.
So,
Yes.
am I an alcoholic? I think probably I want to say, first of all, if you are worried about your drinking and you clicked on this podcast and started listening, I want to salute your courage, because I think it's a very courageous thing to actually begin to inquire about your drinking.
Yes, it is. I think it's much easier now than it was when I first wondered whether I was an alcoholic, because you can go on the internet now and you can find all these tools.
Right, okay.
And you can look at them, and one of the most important tools, or one of the most widely used tools, is what's called the DSM-5, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders.
Oh, a mental disorder?
I know it says mental disorders, but it's all psychological disorders of any description.
Yeah.
And alcoholism comes under that.
I see.
Or should I say alcohol dependency comes under that.
Yeah.
So the first one, what they do is they sort of look at the behaviours associated with alcohol. And the first of these would be drinking more than intended and for longer periods. Okay. Now, that's the first one. And when I think about my drinking, the number of times I said, I'm only going for one.
Yes.
And, as I've said often, I went out at 7:30 and came back in August. That was not my intention. I never really intended to get drunk, but often did. The old saying, which is, the man takes a drink, the drink takes a drink, and the drink takes the man.
Yeah.
So as soon as I started drinking, that was it. It was off and running. And that really is one of the big signs of drinking. The drinking seems to have a life of its own. You're not intending to do these. Wanting to quit drinking, but being unable despite the efforts. That's wanting to quit drinking, but being unable despite your efforts. Okay? And again, this is important, because the number of times I have said, no, that's it, I'm not going to drink anymore, or I'm not going to drink, as much or whatever. And again, couldn't.
Right.
Couldn't.
So your drinking is kind of bigger than your choosing.
Yes, yeah.
Scary. It must be scary.
Which is one of the reasons why, organizations like AA talk about, you being purpose.
Yeah.
Because it feels as if something else is making the decision for you. It's understandable.
Yeah.
Okay, so spending a lot of time seeking, drinking, or recovering from alcohol use. And that's it. I mean, I remember being at a conference one time, and I talked about how it's a full-time job being an addict. And it is, because you've got to find the money, you've got to, and that might mean that you're trying to beg, borrow, or steal the money. You're spending a lot of time drinking it, and then the hangovers just seem to get longer and longer and longer. So again, this is an important one. Craving or having intense urges to drink. Craving or having intense urges to drink. And people who are dependent on alcohol, they will have these terrible cravings. I had really awful cravings. I felt as if I didn't get a drink, I would go mad, or would fall into some sort of black hole somewhere. And again, it felt as if I was being taken over.
Right. Okay.
Being unable to fulfill home, school, work, or social responsibilities. Being unable to fulfill home, school, work, or social responsibilities.
So your whole now social and home life begins to break down.
Yeah.
And that happened with you?
Oh yeah, very much so. I mean, everything revolves around alcohol now, and I'll definitely I'll meet you at 8:00 tonight. Never arrive. I'll be back very quickly. I used to go out for a paper, and as I say, and that would be me. I'd get lost.
And what about work?
Work? No, I took a lot of time off work.
Okay.
If you listen to my story, I went AWOL for couple of months. I just got lost.
So the whole fabric of life now is beginning to disintegrate then?
Yes. I mean, first of all, it was because I was away drinking, and secondly, it was because I couldn't manage to get there because I was so ill from the drinking. So, there was, it really takes over your life altogether. It's really very debilitating. Continuing to drink, even though it causes rifts in relationships. Continuing to drink, even though it causes rifts in relationships. You'll have experienced that.
Yeah, we talked about it, didn't we, in our podcast for families?
Yeah.
Is you're now remonstrating, you're getting angry, you're kind of policing the bottles and everything.
Yeah.
And the heartache is that though they say they want to do something, it becomes pretty obvious that they don't know how to.
Yeah.
And I think that was true because I knew my husband loved me.
Yeah.
I knew he hated what he was doing.
Yeah.
But I was beginning to realise he was stuck in a cycle that he couldn't get out of.
Yeah, yeah. And that's exactly the point. And in the relationships, there's the obvious one, which is the partner relationship, but there's also the relationships with children, there's the relationships with friends, the relationship with neighbours, there's relationships with just about anybody.
Yes.
And ultimately, though we don't talk about it, it's the relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Continuing to drink, knowing it can worsen physical and mental conditions. And again, this is also true. I've heard people say you can't frighten an alcoholic. And I think sometimes that's true. I've seen people who have got terrible sort of jaundice because their liver it really is about to pack up.
Yeah.
And yet they're still drinking.
Yeah.
And you're saying, you're killing yourself.
Yeah, we've obviously come across this in our work. And really big things that have happened, like being chucked off planes and all of these sort of things, that you think at that point, this has got to be the turning point where they see something's going on, but still they're just so stuck in a cycle. It's very hard to watch, actually, because there's a real disintegration of who they are and their life and everything else.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It really is. Giving up activities with family and friends to spend more time drinking,
kind of part of the whole thing that we've been talking about, isn't it?
This is
much of the same.
Yeah, this is where the family starts to disintegrate. Giving up activities with family and friends to spend more time drinking. Giving up activities with family and friends to spend more time drinking. For much of the discussions in the family podcasts, this is one of the things we were talking about. This time wanting to spend more time with the drinker, not drinking.
Yes.
And again, alcohol, just as it says further up, it takes more and more of your time.
Yeah.
To do this, because you've got to satisfy this craving all the time.
And you're feeling as if you're outwitting your drinker at this point. And, it really is just disintegrating. I mean, I was trying very hard to help, I suppose. But by then I was beginning to understand that he was really stuck in what was going on, a cycle that couldn't be broken.
Yeah. Okay, continuing to drink even though it puts you in dangerous situations. Continuing to drink even though it puts you in dangerous situations. You'd seen some of the pubs I drank in. Because what happens is that you maybe start off in a kind of nice cocktail lounge, but you don't want to stand out. So you start to drink in rougher and rougher and rougher pubs. And the pubs I was drinking in at the end were, the pub I used to drink in quite a lot, it used to be called the Stab Inn. It just gives you some impression of what it was like.
I was going to say that at the beginning, obviously my husband was aware of things like the driving license and didn't do dangerous things like that. But when the cycle of drink got really deep, then he would drive, which was a nightmare.
Yes.
And he would drink sometimes with the children, even though he promised that he wouldn't. In the end, I didn't listen to that. But and these are safety issues that are getting more and more alarming, actually, aren't they?
Yeah, you end up doing things that If you weren't drinking, you would never even consider.
So there's no really awareness of safety in your environment for your family or yourself.
No, the alcohol comes first. That's so as long as you can feed that addiction, then that's it. Needing to drink more to achieve the same effects. Needing to drink more to achieve the same effects. This is a tolerance.
Yes.
And that builds up and builds up and builds up. If you, at the beginning, maybe a couple of drinks and, you're feeling tipsy, and after a while it's, 10 drinks, it's just an aperitif.
So more money needed.
Yeah.
Must be, again, alarming.
Mm-hmm.
So you're after a particular hit, are you, inside?
I personally, believe it or not, never wanted to get drunk.
Oh, that's a curious statement.
Yeah. I know it's a curious statement. But the effect I was after was always in the next drink.
Okay, I don't know that I quite understand that. So say a bit more.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I was always after a particular feeling.
Yes.
But the feeling wasn't quite here yet. But it might be in that drink.
Oh,
it might be in that drink.
Right.
If you remember these cartoons where you used to see donkeys with this thing and the carrot in front of them,
yes,
running after it, they're never going to catch that carrot.
Yes.
And I was never going to catch that effect.
Right, okay. Is that the same for all drinkers?
Well, certainly a lot of drinkers that I know.
Yeah.
But mostly I was, as I say, it's about trying to achieve an effect and then overshooting.
Is it about oblivion?
It's about quietness in the head.
Mm.
For me, I talked about the Greek chorus in the head saying you're no good, you're hopeless, nobody likes you, all of that. And after a while, if I got enough alcohol in me, it sang a different tune.
Yeah, I remember.
You're actually quite a good guy, for he's a really good fellow. And I was after that effect.
Yeah, my husband, we were actually exploring neurodivergence and addiction. And he was reading a book about it, and then he stopped and he said, read out this sentence, when I drink, it stops the voices in my head. Yeah. And that's exactly the same thing, and he was really, it was as if he'd read the thing that explained what was going on inside of him. Yeah.
But that's what you're after. You're after this, this effect. Now, it might be different for other people, but as I say, for me, it was the quieting down or getting the Greek chorus to sing a different song altogether.
Which, ironically, is going to grow and grow and grow because you're behaving in a worse and worse way. And that's the awful, ironic cycle of it all, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It is.
And it might be why... Sorry.
And when you're waking up the next day and it's worn off, that's the other problem, and that's the needing more to get the same effects, is that you might start off here, where you want to get is up here, and you have a few drinks and you up you go, and then you might overshoot it, but the next day you don't go back to here, you go back to here, so you need even more alcohol to get back up there. You understand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because
the voices in your head are even louder the next day. That's the way it was for me anyway. Okay, experiencing withdrawal symptoms when going without alcohol. Experiencing withdrawal symptoms when going without alcohol. And not everybody suffers from withdrawal symptoms to the same extent, but I certainly suffered badly. The sweat used to just pour out of me, and my hands just shook. I couldn't pick up a cup of tea, so, and when I went into a pub to get the first drink, I needed two hands to get it to my. I shook so badly, and my whole body felt as if it was shaking. There's also the anxiety that goes with it, and I used to have terrible panic attacks. I remember being on a bus going into Glasgow to try to go to a pub in Glasgow, and people looked at me. No, I don't think they had any interest in looking at me. They just happened to glance in my direction. But it started this panic attack that everybody was staring at me.
So it's paranoia then that's growing, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I had to dive off the bus and dive into the nearest pub just to get the antidote. And And these are things that happen. Yeah. So that withdrawal symptoms, it can be really, really acute. And after a while, you're not drinking to get an effect. You're drinking to get rid of
The
the withdrawal symptoms. Because I needed a drink to go for a drink at the end of my drinking. You know, I needed to have something left from the night before so I could have a drink so that I could go to the pub and drink, which sounds crazy, but that's the way it had to be, because I had to stop this withdrawal, so to stop the anxiety so I could get them. So if you are watching this and if you are listening to this list, if you are identifying with this, then, you know, there's strong possibility you have a problem here.
Yeah.
If you identify with at least 3 of them, then yes, you've got a bit of a problem. And if you identify with 6, then you've got a severe problem. You know? This isn't the only way to assess whether you have an alcohol problem, but it is quite an accurate way. And it is a way that if you go to an alcohol unit, they are liable to use.
And it's very comprehensive, isn't it?
It is very comprehensive. Yeah. And it's actually, it's quite descriptive. You know, it's really quite... might not be used so much in, you know, community alcohol. They would use something a wee bit different, you know. And one of the things that they might use is a kind of quick and dirty method, which is called cage.
Why do you call it quick and dirty? It's just a phrase.
It's just you're not going into lots and lots of detail.
Okay.
But
so it's just a phrase.
It's like a ready reckoner. It gives you a rough guide to whether you should be investigating that bit further or not. And CAGE is just an acronym. It's, have you ever felt that you ought to cut down on your drinking? Now, it's kind of self-explanatory, that.
Yeah.
That means, do you ever felt that you've got a problem? You know? Do you get annoyed by the criticism of your drinking? Yes, I would say. I'll take that one, you know?
Yeah.
Do you ever feel guilty about your drinking? And again,
absolutely,
I would definitely take that one.
Yeah.
And do you ever take an early morning drink, which is an eye opener, that's where the E comes from, to get the day started or get rid of a hangover? Hair of the dog that bit you.
Okay.
You know? And I mean, I can take yes to every single one of those ones.
Yeah.
So if you identify with these, then there's a strong possibility you do have an alcohol problem.
If you don't want to call yourself an alcoholic, we use the word problem drinking to some people. I mean, one of the reasons my husband never ever made it down to AA was he just couldn't face the thought of sitting there saying, I am an alcoholic, you know. But sometimes it's easier to say, I think I have problem drinking. The I am that's quite hard for some people, but yeah, there's a problem there. Maybe is an easier step on the journey in terms of owning stuff.
Yeah. I think, I mean, I personally hated the word alcoholic. Well, I hated the word alcoholic applied to me.
Yes.
You know, so it was fine applied to other people. That was okay. But applied to me. And even after I started going to Alcoholics Anonymous, I sat around Alcoholics Anonymous saying, my name's John. And people were waiting for that. And I am, and it never came. And then I got really bold and I said, my name's John, and I think I might have a drink problem.
Yeah.
People are going, all right, okay. You know. And then it was, my name's John, and I kind of really do think I've got a drink problem. And then eventually it was, my name's John and I'm an alcoholic. Do you need to sit there and say, I'm an alcoholic? Or do you need to admit you're an alcoholic? No, you don't. You don't. You can call it whatever you like.
Yes.
You can call it a drink problem. You can call it overindulging. You can call it whatever you like. The fact that people in Alcoholics Anonymous are quite strong about the word alcoholic is because what they're trying to do is they're trying to say, this is my problem.
Yeah, to own it.
And you're sort of going along with the belief that if you don't know your problem, it's very difficult to solve it. If you don't know what's wrong, how do you put it right?
Yeah.
So that was it. And it was created, in 1937. So, I mean, it was a long, long time ago when the word alcoholic wasn't quite as pejorative as it is today, or seen as pejorative as it is today.
Yeah.
But I remember when we started Bottled Up, and we started writing for the search engines, and you put out sort of keywords, and we used the word alcoholic, and we were criticised for it by some people, saying, no, we don't call it alcoholic today. And you think, well, what do most people
look for? Yeah, they search for the word alcoholic.
So we used problem drinking. Nobody found us. So we had to put. So it was counterproductive. We were doing sort of the right terms.
Yes.
But nobody can find us because that's not the terms that most people will use.
So. It's a label that's well known.
Yeah, but as far as calling yourself an alcoholic, that's up to you. Nobody insists anymore that you have to call yourself an alcoholic. You might want to.
So if you're listening to this and you're perhaps wishing you hadn't listened to it and beginning to feel awful, these podcasts are for people that are drinking. And so do listen to them. There's various, we do uncontrolled drinking, don't we? Cutting down your drinking, motivation. So these are for you. So work with us and listen to us. John is a professor of drink and drugs, if you don't know anything about us, but also he was given 6 months to live when he was 34 because he had a severe drink and drug problem. Yeah. So he knows his subject matter, but he knows the journey.
Right. One of the questions that people might want to know is my father's an alcoholic, or my mother's an alcoholic, or my granny's an alcoholic. Is that why I'm an alcoholic? And the answer to that is yes, possibly, maybe, no.
Right, okay.
And all of the above. Alcoholism, is it genetic? There are some genetic traits. The problem is that we don't know enough at this moment in time because there are so many factors involved in being an alcoholic. You asked me earlier on, does everybody feel this?
Yes.
And the answer is some do, some don't. Some wouldn't have a clue what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily mean they've not got a drink problem because we're all different.
Yeah.
And there are so many things that we contribute to us being an alcoholic. Yes, there's the genes, obviously, and there are some genes that make you alcohol intolerant. Yeah, some people with Eastern ethnicity have what's called this flushing gene, and when they drink it, they become bright red. It's almost like we talked about antabuse, which gives you a sort of reaction from alcohol. So they find it, some of them find it very uncomfortable to drink.
Right. Those are deterrents, aren't they? Both of those first two. What about people whose mum and dad were alcoholics and they find that if they drink, they start exhibiting those sort of behaviours? I would say some of that may be psychological and learned responses.
Yes.
As a counsellor.
And you would be perfectly correct, you know, because sometimes what happens with people who come from an alcoholic background, for the parents are alcoholics, is that they do not become alcoholics. They become drug addicts.
Okay, because they're running away from the drink. But
it's the behaviours. It's how you handle situations. And if you're brought up in a household where the standard response to problems are you stick your head in the sand, you run away from it, you hide out it, you get drunk, then that's exactly what you'll do. That's the way you learn. Yeah. This is the way you respond.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, you've got the genes, you've also got the environment that you grew up in, but there's also the culture. Maybe if you grew up in some Islamic countries, then there isn't the opportunity the same. If you take that person out of there and put them into a Western culture, then they may develop alcoholism. So there's opportunities.
So many factors.
And that's why, yes, there's so many factors. It's very difficult to say it's that gene there, and that's the issue. But obviously, there are some people can drink far, far more than others.
Yes.
And that's generally genetic.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's really unclear exactly what it is that's inherited. As I said, it may be the how you metabolize alcohol. It may be the how you react to alcohol. It may be something that you have inherited, as we said already, this culture of hiding from problems. We just don't know. We just don't know.
All of the above. Yeah.
It probably is all of the above. You know,
Yeah.
the environment plays a big part in it, but just what part of it is. You usually see it as a triangle: the drug, the environment, the individual, and how they fit together. But it's like a Rubik's Cube. It could fit together so many different ways. Okay, I mean, when we get down to alcohol problems, people say, well, how much is too much? And that's really not the measure that you should be looking at. How often is too often? Again, it's not about the quantity. It's not about the frequency. It's about your relationship with alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's if you cannot do without the alcohol,
even if it's 1 day a week,
even if it's 1 day a week,
then it's become a problem.
Yeah, I mean, but problems are a big spectrum.
Yeah.
Long spectrum. You've got severe problems all the way up there, and you've got small problems down here.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are addicted to your one sherry on a Sunday afternoon,
Yeah.
is that a problem? You have an addiction.
Yes.
Yes. But is that a problem?
Yeah.
And I think we have to be kind of realistic about this. Who are you harming?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Are you harming yourself? Almost certainly not.
Yeah.
But that is really the hallmark of it. If you can't do without it, then it's an issue.
Mm.
But you need to look at the other factors involved. Where is the harm?
Yes.
And that's not a kind of dismissal. That's a question.
Yes.
Where's the harm?
Yeah. And it's like that with having to say that about coffee.
Yeah.
There's lots of things that are not brilliant for us.
Yeah.
You just need to context it
Yeah.
and figure out whether it's harmful or not, really.
Yeah. I mean, we have this kind of these stereotypes. I remember sitting in an alcohol unit and asking people, what's an alcoholic? All these different answers.
Mm.
And what often came up was the Skid Row. You know, the Skid Row, the guy with the two coats and a bit of string around it.
That's definitely the drinker's, example of an alcoholic, the worst possible one.
Yeah, as that is often said in those, the stereotype of an alcoholic is not me. And that was the answer I generally got,
Yeah.
And but people pointed to that, and I'm not like that. I'm not like that. I'm not like that. And that's true. As I said, the problems are in a sort of they're in a continuum. They're in a continuum, and we have to sort of remember that.
Mm.
Okay, there's one last measure which is a good one, which is the FAST questionnaire. It's only 4 questions. And I suggest if you want to do this, then grab a pencil and paper and score it as we're going along, or it will be in the notes below. Okay? And it's question 1. Men, how often do you have 8 or more drinks on one occasion? Women, how often do you have 6 or more drinks on one occasion? Never, less than monthly, weekly, or almost daily. Okay? Now, if you put down never, then it's a 0, score 0. If you put less than monthly, 1, monthly, 2, weekly, 3, daily or almost daily, 4. Okay? Second question. How often during the last year have you been unable to remember what happened the night before because you had been drinking? Never, less than monthly, weekly, or daily or almost daily. Same scoring. Never, 0, less than monthly, 1, monthly, 2, weekly, 3, daily or almost daily, 4. Okay? How often during the last year have you failed to do what was normally expected of you because of drinking? Same score. Never, 0, less than monthly, 1, monthly, 2, weekly, 3, daily or almost daily, 4. And the last question is, in the last year, has a relative, friend or a doctor or other health worker been concerned about your drinking or suggesting that you cut down? If you answer no, it's 0. If you answer yes on one occasion, it's 2. And if you answer yes on more than one occasion, it's 4. If the score for all 4 questions is less than 3, then you may be binging occasionally, but you're not abusing alcohol. If the score for all 4 questions is more than 3, then you're showing signs of alcohol abuse. The highest possible score for this questionnaire is 16. The closer your score is to 16, the more of a problem your drinking is, and the more likely you are to be dependent on alcohol. So, how did you score?
Can we say at this point, I'm going to show this because this is written by John. We talked about this in a couple of other podcasts, First Steps Out of Problem Drinking. And it's a little book. It's only £5 on Amazon. And if you're thinking, oh, this is a bit scary, maybe I need to look at this, maybe that is something that you can do. If you kind of don't want to out what's happening yet, you can get this quite secretly on Amazon and you can go through it yourself. If you can't do anything else, get this little book and look at it. And that would be one step towards getting help, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very practical little book.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
Okay.
We're going to go on. Please join us for these podcasts. We cover quite a lot in the drinking area.
Yeah.
We are so glad that you've joined us. And please continue with us as we go through all the different areas. We're going to talk about cutting out drinking, lowering your drinking, motivation, all the things that are part of this journey of change. And if you've not come across this before and this is a random kind of clicking on this podcast, the person who's speaking is a professor of drink and drugs on the journey, and he understands. This is why he's a lot of what he said he's saying personally, because this is something he's been through.
And I'm 35 now. Yeah. So I'm okay.
Okay, so thanks for joining us. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Please like and subscribe if you like the podcast, and if you like what we're doing, please leave us a good review or even share with somebody else. It helps us reach as many people as possible.